Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 10 is one of those chapters that lean very heavily into embracing the chaos that the revival of Kurama was passing on to the community itself, and it's led to a bunch of different opinions on the matter. But lost in all this discussion is why we should not only be having a conversation on why Kurama's words about Himawari possessing a higher affinity for using Kurama's chakra makes complete sense, but also why Himawari right now is not like any previous user of Kurama, because her situation is different in a major way to where we can't really call her a Jinchuriki, and for that reason her potential might surpass her father's. Grab those ramen bowls for this newest Naruto Explained video because we have a lot to unpack here. Now, really quick, we are 1 week away from that 2.5-hour Boruto video. Mark your calendars, get your pizza, get your drinks, get on the couch and get comfortable. My editor and I, we are very proud of this video, particularly the second half of the script. And I think if you're a Boruto fan, I sincerely think if you're a Boruto fan, this video is something that is going to have a special place in your heart, particularly if you're tired of people misunderstanding or misrepresenting the series for cheap likes and engagement on social media, whether it be Facebook, Reddit, Twitter, whatever. There's a lot in this video for you to clip out and send out onto whatever social media you use next time you see a disingenuous hot take by Boruto haters, which me in 2017 would have never thought I'd make a 2.5-hour Boruto video before I even made a 2-hour Naruto video. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Now, the knee-jerk reaction right now to this whole Himawari mess is to call her a Jinchuriki for Kurama, because it is human nature. Whenever you get something new, the easiest thing for humans to do is to look for something similar to associate the new thing with in order to understand it. And that's what the fandom has done for 10 years now, going as far back as when the whole Ashura and Angel reveal was made in the manga back in 2014. You had fans who took the line of Sasuke and Naruto. They had Chakra of Ashura and Angel, so that meant that they were Jinchurikis for each of them. When Boruto was revealed to have Momoshiki's chakra in his Chroma Seal, there are people who are calling him Momoshiki's Jinchuriki, even though both of those situations, they were completely different. And based off the information we have with Himawari, based on this last chapter, it looks like this is the same thing. Let's look at what we know right here, because it will help explain the narrative beginning to position Himawari as being better in terms of a user of Kurama's power than Naruto ever was, and why it wasn't a slap into the face for the guy who's in his mid-30s who was stumbling and bumbling his way around to learn how to use Kurama's chakra, because it didn't come with a picture book style instruction manual. It didn't come with little catchy song lyrics to help him memorize how to use the power. Himawari was born with a very small amount of Kurama's chakra, a fragment, a seed that did not sprout until Kurama passed away, and his chakra then transmigrated to Himawari the same way that the chakra of Ashura and Indra would transmigrate when both of the reincarnates would pass away from a generation so as to restart the cycle. This makes it different from a standard Jinchuriki and bijuu relationship, because Kurama, he wasn't sealed away into her the way that a bijuu was sealed away into a Jinchuriki. She is Kurama and Kurama is her. They share the same soul. They are now literally one right now, and this isn't your regular Jinchuriki bijuu relationship. It's closer to what we saw in Naruto Volume 70 and in Naruto Volume 71, which is basically chapter 670 as well as chapter 681 for those curious, which is we learned that Kaguya herself became the Ten Tails. They were one in the same, something that the Sage of Six Paths himself was ignorant of this truth in the manga version of the story. In the manga, Kaguya, the Divine Tree, the Ghetto Statue, and the Tailed Beast, they were all linked together. She fused with the Ten Tails to take back the chakra from her sons, which is why 1,000 years after she was defeated, Madara and Obito had to assemble the various parts that Hagoromo and Hamura split up. The Ghetto Mazu statue husk, the God Tree itself, and the chakra, the 9 bijuu that was split up. That's why in the Kaguya filler arc, you see some changes that are made to this whole principle. However, that filler arc is completely irrelevant to the topic, since this is regarding the manga, and as you guys know, I don't care for that filler arc to begin with. Kaguya was the first person who we saw share one body and one soul with the Ten Tails, so we know it can be done, in particular with a child who is a descendant of both halves of Kaguya, which is something that myself and others, we have been screaming from the rooftops as far back as Momoshiki giving Boruto the Chroma Seal, that both of Naruto's children had the genetic recipe to be something special, because both of these kids, they had one side of the blood of Ashura's distant relatives and a direct line to the bloodline that was closest to Kaguya in the Hyuga clan via her son Hamura's descendants. One bloodline of Hagoromo's and one bloodline of Hamura's, and both parents just happened to be people who received the chakra of both children of Kaguya, who possessed the very same chakra that Kaguya was desperate to get back, chakra that she gained after eating the chakra fruit. I think we have to look at this at the other side of the coin when it comes to Jura and the Shinju who we've met in the Shinju Awakening arc. Naruto as a series loves to play with the concept of yin and yang. One side being the Ten Tails and the Shinju that have awakened, and now on the other side, you have Himawari, who possesses chakra of a being that was once part of a Ten Tails, is now awakening inside of herself as well. It's two sides of a coin. Jura is in humanoid form, but he appears to be the Ten Tails main body itself, something that King Bullet and I laid out in our video collab over on his channel, breaking down all the signs as to why in a topic that I approached him to do. Himawari being the recipient of Kurama's chakra, transmigrating to the seed of her chakra inside of her, and that power now awakening, it is a very similar thing. They are in it together, hence why Kurama saying that what you do with my power, whether or not we live or die, it is all on you. This tracks because Jura was seeking out the Nine Tails chakra because it was a part of him, and initially he thought Naruto possessed the chakra because that's what's written in all the books that he had been reading, and it confused him to sense that power inside of Himawari because it directly defies the conventional wisdom in terms of what we've been told before is to be considered the norm. Someone, if they have bijuu chakra, they get it sealed inside of them. Even Kurama points this out by getting annoyed that the Ten Tails is after him by saying, look, I was reborn inside of you. This has never happened before. And by the way, you also happen to have the highest affinity to use my chakra than anyone else who was a predecessor. And what we can conclude is that this is because of the circumstances, this time being so different. We see exactly what Kurama means when she finally taps into Kurama's chakra. It's something I make note of during the chapter review, that Himawari looks different. Yes, she has the same enraged fox-like eyes that Naruto and Kushina had whenever they would lose control, but the lack of chakra aura was something that always bothered me as soon as I saw the design, because using this level of power, it has always come with that red cloak of bubble chakra regardless as to who was using it. Yet Himawari, as she's entered into this pseudo bijuu form, her hair is wild, it is flowing, likely due to the increase in chakra. Her physical appearance, it has changed as well. And yet, despite this surge of chakra, we don't see an outward manifestation like we did with others, which for a guy like Mikio Ikimoto, who uses every chance possible to pay homage to Toriyama's Dragon Ball by using those chakra auras, you would think he would have it flaring up right now, especially given the big cliche rage reveal of her power and the build up to her using this power being very similar to an iconic Dragon Ball storyline. Yet, he doesn't do so here, and I find that interesting. I think we can say that Kurama returning to someone who was born, keyword being born, with part of his chakra, a seed, is the reason why, and this effectively makes her the other side of the coin to Jura and the other awakened Shinju. They are humanoid versions of the Ten Tails, with Jura being the humanoid version of the Ten Tails main body that was stimulated into change via Code's chakra, the same way that Himawari is the humanoid version of the Nine Tails, this time being stimulated by Kurama's chakra itself, directly transmigrating to her body in order to water and sprout the seed that's inside of her. And in both cases, those proper awakenings, they took years after the process began in order to bear true fruit. In particular, when it comes to Himawari and Jura themselves. Jura tells us that all of the Shinju themselves, they are all one unit from a biological sense, but they each are different with their own emotions and thoughts and feelings, and it's due to what stimulated their awakening. I think that's the key difference here. Hidari being Sasuke, Matsuri being Moegi, and Bug being Bug, and Jura being the main body of the Ten Tails that disappeared before Jura suddenly was revealed, which explains why Jura happens to be stronger than the others and is the leader and is evolving faster. Both of them, again, out of all the characters that we've seen that have these awakenings, Himawari and Jura, they are opposite sides of the same coin. Jura is the product of the original Ten Tails, and he is in a situation where he's desiring to gain knowledge about the world, a world that Kurama experienced for 1,000 years, which is why he wants to devour him and get that knowledge. And then Kurama is also on the other side of the coin, having awakened and sharing a soul with Himawari, someone who also possesses the knowledge of the world. I lay this all out as a foundation to say this: Himawari being tapped in to that degree with Kurama does make me think he is absolutely right as to about her having a higher affinity to be able to use her power properly, which means she should be cutting down on the time needed to use Kurama's power in a drastic manner, almost as if it's instinctual. And that's a big part of what we've seen with the Shinju, the whole concept of instincts being there. It's very similar how Hidari didn't have to struggle to use the Chidori when he attacked Sarda. He just instinctually knew how to use it. I think we stand a chance of Himawari being in a very similar space, which is why Kurama said it's all up to her. But I still believe her emotions are going to play a factor in her learning curve being one that goes up and down versus being an immediate, I know how to do everything, the way that Jura and the other Shinju have been able to use their powers. If we see Himawari shoot off a bijuu dama, I am chalking it up to more to the emotions of the battle in that moment and not so much as being something like skill. But given that Boruto 2 Blue Vortex has been playing with the concept of awakenings and consciousness, it could go either way. Regardless, she's in a situation very different than Naruto was, where there is no tug of war here. This is a full cooperation because they are one and the same. A part of Kurama is Himawari and vice versa. Whereas Kurama was sealed into Naruto after he was already physically born, this feels like it's a different animal altogether, and like we're backdooring our way into going over more what happened during Kage and Ishiki's time period, because we're seeing it with Jura and Himawari, beings who are sharing the soul in a humanoid form with a part of the Ten Tails, or in the case of Jura and Kaguya, where Jura is seemingly directly the Ten Tails' main body and Kaguya was the one with the Ten Tails. This seems like at some point it's going to get touched on in detail, and a certain Otsuki whose soul is attached to Boruto happens to be a prime source on the workings of the Otsuki clan, and we haven't seen him directly in the manga yet, but Boruto, we see he is very worried about his sister. These pieces, I feel like they're coming together. Boruto's manga right now, it has a chance to do something very special in my opinion with this Himawari and Kurama plot twist. It's a way to strap a rocket ship onto Himawari in terms of the power creeping, but at least this way it makes sense, and it's a way to continue to take those throwaway lines from Naruto's manga where there was only one panel and expand on it in lore, which is what a sequel manga should do. The only real questions left, besides how much stronger than Naruto Himawari is going to get, is will this be like the characters in Kaiju number 8 using the numbers weapons from the corpses of identified kaiju so they can use their powers in battle, which this video on the left goes into extensive detail on each of these numbers weapons users and the powers that they have, and this video on the right is the Naruto explained video that YouTube selected that says it's best suited for you.